As much of a meme as it's turned into, there are genuine signs of XDefiant's launch upcoming, and today we're going to be breaking into what those are. So drop your thoughts as we go along. Think it'll be coming closer to that proposed latest date Ubisoft has given? Think it'll launch sooner? Let me know. But if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and consider subscribing for more FPS content and more coverage. I'd love to have you. Finally, check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for the best blue light glasses on the market, where code espresso can get you a nice little discount. But for now, let's jump into the hints for what's upcoming for XDefiant. So over the last couple of days, there's been a few things that were revealed that were kind of like almost clerical stuff, like getting the game ready and things that are back-end items that push forward the idea that, okay, they're putting the infrastructure in place here so that once everything is launched, everything's good to go. And a few of those things come down to say what was seen in Ubisoft's own reward pages, storefronts for platforms like Xbox and others. And we can actually start there probably on the storefront items, because those are the smaller and like less cool things to talk about. We obviously have known that XDefiant is going to have some sort of in-game currency. It's a free-to-play game. Mark Rubin and co have been very transparent about all of that, where they said, yeah, they're going to try and make everything worthwhile if you want to spend money on the game, but it's the nature of being a free-to-play game. You got to pay the bills somehow. So that's their thing. There's going to be microtransactions, but we saw that recently on the Xbox storefront, X coins, as they're going to be called, were introduced as items you could buy. They were there and listed in a public fashion. Regular people were seeing these come up on their Xbox storefront. Surprising that it would happen? Absolutely not. Surprising to see it now, even though we have absolutely no sort of mention of when the game is going to be launching just yet? Maybe. But beyond that, we also saw new Ubisoft rewards. If you were to go over to like your account either on desktop or the Ubisoft Connect app, you can go to your games and see there's a reward tab. That's something you can end up getting for Ubisoft coins, or units as they call it. Something that's just like a bonus reward system for Ubisoft. Full transparency, I don't play a whole ton of Ubisoft games on the regular, so like how you get each individual one of those coins or units, don't have that information handy off the top of my head. But anyways, as a part of these things that again were like clerical, setting up for later down the road, we saw the introduction of the Midnight Velocity Pack, which is a weapon skin for the Vector, it seems like, Battle Pass tier skips you can get, Battle Pass boosters you can get, and weapon XP boosters you can get as well, alongside a free pack that was called the Low Profile Pack that was a calling card. Now, the interesting part with, again, all of this, just like the coins from the Xbox storefront and everything, these have all since been removed from that rewards tab. They went live and were publicly seen a little earlier than they were supposed to, it seems like. So again, all of these things are items that are setting up for launch. It'd be almost like PlayStation dropping a new combat pack for Call of Duty as a free download for a new operator or new weapon that's coming in like Season 3 as of the time of recording this video. Obviously, we're not there yet, but we know that Season 3 is coming. We have a relative understanding of when that's going to be, early April, but seeing it air quote launch and go public and being something that could be interacted with the general public before that launch date, that just says, hey, it's done and ready to go. So same principle applies here for some of the base things you're going to be seeing within the functionality of XDefiant. Also, though, according to XDefiant ES, a Spanish news account following the game, apparently server status for XDefiant on the Series X, PS5, and PC were all listed as active. More than likely now this is just back-end tests of some kind, stress testing the servers for whatever the case may be and whenever the case may be. But it's interesting that this is happening now in this window, since if it's testing game features and such, stuff that's still being built out in development, that'd all be on their local networks. They wouldn't go to any public servers that you'd be able to see any pings and that they're active. It'd all be isolated in studio. Devs never test builds in progress, unreleased entirely stuff like that in a public setting. So that said, all of this is pretty interesting, but it's all seemingly in hopes of hitting that backstop of March 31st. As a reminder, XDefiant was mentioned to launch within fiscal year Q4 for Ubisoft in their most recent earnings report. That's official earnings statements from Ubisoft for investors. You can't falsify that stuff. But that report listed several things. Again, stuff that I'm stoked for, including the calendar year of 2024 launch of Star Wars Outlaws. There's another Assassin's Creed game listed for 2025, but XDefiant was listed as a Q4 release. Fiscal years, for those unaware, they don't follow the same standard calendar year formatting. It's not like Q4 is guaranteed to be the last 3 months of the calendar year, October, November, and December. Instead, it can be any 12-month period, and in this case for Ubisoft, their fiscal Q4 is January, February, and March. So by stating that your game of XDefiant will launch by the end of Q4, that in turn means end of March or March 31st is a planned backstop. Could it happen sooner? Absolutely, but that's the planned backstop and latest launch date they want to launch XDefiant. Now I say that part with emphasis because it's important that things could be subject to change. That was the listed release window, but it's not a guarantee. All it was a statement and declaration of their intent to release during that period. So how likely are they to do that in that window? Now, assuming Tom Henderson's reporting recently doesn't indicate a repeat performance of adding things last second and breaking the game, honestly, I think we might be able to. Again, all these things that we just mentioned are things that are going to be fundamental and sort of baseline items you'll see going forward for XDefiant in the future. Of course, your in-game currency, a big one to a free-to-play game, rewards that you can end up getting probably for a limited time and then having more stuff over time replace those. That stuff is just fundamental features here that are seemingly ready to go at this point. Now, interestingly, another point that I didn't really consider up until recently, because again, I don't follow a whole ton of games, like in this case, Skull and Bones, a big Ubisoft release that dropped as of late. And again, listen, I think from what I've seen, we can all agree that game was not what people expected, but I don't really want to touch on that kind of stuff. I just want to really use it as a referencing point. Publishers don't often drop two big games back to back like that. So with the release of that now out of the way and in mind, I get why it not dropping today or a couple of weeks ago would have been a thing for Ubisoft. Now that they're over that hump, things should now be moving forward and we could be getting closer to a launch here for XDefiant. Personally, I'm thinking that if they stick to this, it'd kind of be a perfect window for them. We talked about a lot last year how summer was golden for XDefiant last year, but I think right now actually might even be a more perfect time to recapture that moment. As I said, since the first announcement of its delay, the COD cycle is inevitable. A lot of people were saying this game lost its hype, don't care anymore, whatever the case, but especially in a time like right now where there's not a whole ton on deck for COD at the moment as a main competitor, even if you don't plan on maining XDefiant, like if you're just somebody coming from Call of Duty, it's a perfect game, I think, to feel familiar, give you something to grind for, and all while you're not missing out on much of anything else in the FPS space. Like I think it's planned for next month at some time that Battlefield Season 7 is going to be happening. Modern Warfare 3 will have its mid-season update here again early next month in March, but beyond that, I mean, you only have seasonal stuff of like COD launching Season 4 in April, and that's kind of it in terms of other things going on in the FPS, like main space. Of course, you have a bunch of other stuff you could play, but between seasons, no major content drop beside Warzone Ranked and Urzikstan and Rebirth Island coming at some point. Multiplayer content still just being multiplayer, nothing crazy or super innovative dropping mid-year. No reveal for the next COD game, but still even longer for any gameplay or hands-on time. I think, if anything, a March release kind of primes it to have a longer, air quote, initial success with the audience. A longer window to play and grind either in place of or alongside another game before the, air quote, next one comes out. Like if XDefiant launched end of September with the end of summer like it was previously mentioned, it only had like a month and a half before Modern Warfare 3 came out, and likely, just by sheer marketing power, took a bit of that player count with it. Now, if you released it, you'd have 6 to 7 months before that. Anyway, I digress. I don't really want to sort of make it sound like a competition. I'm not trying to pit either community against each other here because I think there's plenty who don't care for COD that will try this out because it's free. Plenty of people who don't care for the new COD but want a classic feel. Plenty of people who are probably somewhere in that middle. I, for one, I'm going to be playing both, looking forward to having a tandem of regular FPS games, and honestly, more if I can carve out time for games that I still enjoy, the finals, and especially as of late, Helldivers. But anyways, that's where we're at. Again, kind of the underlying fundamental basis here is already seemingly ready to go at this point. So just wanted to fill you guys in here before we jump into some other stuff for the weekend. But anyways, that's what we're going to call it. So before we do, make sure to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage, who I firmly believe are the best blue light glasses on the market. I've worked with these guys for 3 years now at this point, and I cannot recommend them enough. They're the most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames out there as far as I've used, and I definitely think they've helped my daily productivity. Full transparency, yeah, they're a bit more of an investment, but I do think your vision's absolutely worth investing into, especially if you're like me, you look at a monitor, your phone, or you're gaming for a good chunk of the day. Now, if you guys would like to learn more, at the very least, I'd recommend checking out their website where they can better break down the science, all the specifics, way better than I could, but what I can personally tell you is that through the 3 years of working with them and using their stuff, love them. If you guys want to learn more, check the link in the description below. And if you'd like to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 10% off your entire order. But that said, that's now we're going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below on XDefiant. What do you think? Think we're going to launch before March 31st? Think it'll be delayed again? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things XDefiant and more FPS content going forward. I'd love to have you. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.